In 1969, producer, musician, and creator genius Manfred Eicher started a little music label production company in Germany. But it was different than just another music label. It was a movement. It was a world of its own. And like Tolkien created the world of Middle-earth, Manfred Eicher had created a new world of music, the world of ECM. If you're not familiar with ECM, I hope this catches you up on a most enlightened collection of music ever recorded, and going on now for over 50 years, over 2,000 albums recorded. What is great about ECM and this era is there's no AI fakery. There's no pitch correction, there's no drum tone replacement. This is raw talent. Spatial beauty, musical perfection from musicians of the highest caliber. Not the highest paid, unfortunately, but hands down the highest caliber. And if you can grasp what they are doing and how they did it, it is awe-inspiring. Most of all, the performances captured were recorded in live takes. Literally coming into the studio, practiced and ready, recording the entire album in a day or two. ECM is real music. There's no gimmicks with ECM. What you hear happened. These players are masters of their craft. Most of them have passed away now, and if there are any of them still alive and performing, you should do everything you can to try to catch them live while there is time. I will give you some of that information as we travel through this video, and let's begin. The Mal Waldron Trio was the very first album released on ECM Records. Recorded in late 1969, it was released in early 1970. This was a fairly good album. It had Clarence Becton on drums, a very accomplished drummer with an extensive resume. Interestingly, ECM recorded another album with Waldron later in 1970. This one, produced by Manfred Eicher, was not officially released on ECM Records, though it carried the label. It was only released on Globe Records in Japan. I don't know the whole story behind that as to why. The drums by Fred Braceful on this album sounded rather bland. They were panned hard left, which isn't unusual for that era. But they did not have that crisp, unique tone that is almost a trademark of an ECM album. Whatever the story was, the album is not an official ECM release, but it is worth checking out if you are a collector of oddities or variants, like that type of thing. This would be a valuable find in that way. A third album was recorded with ECM and Mal Waldron. This album called The Call. Groovy, very cool. This one included bassist Eberhard Weber, who became an ECM staple over the next many years and on many ECM albums. This album by Waldron, though in the ECM sphere, was also not released on ECM Records. Instead, they started a sister label called Japo Records. And this album by Mal Waldron became the first release on Japo Records. The album is totally worth checking out. Waldron is playing the electric piano on this. Psychedelic jazz that is such a jam. The drums, again, with drummer Fred Braceful, have a much crisper, wider sound on this recording. And Eberhard Weber makes an amazing addition as bassist to the ECM name, even though this isn't an official ECM album. It's fun, it's groovy, I would buy it, but you can't find it. It's extremely rare, very hard to find. For instance, the only one I could find on eBay was $270. So I got to pass on that. But it's on my list, so someday hopefully I can locate it. And one last note about Mal Waldron. Though he was an integral part of the ECM origin, after those 3 albums, we don't see him again on ECM. And finally, the Mr. Flowmeister rating of that first album, Free at Last. Here's how the rating scale works. There are 4 categories. On likability, it gets a 1.5. It was generally likable, not my favorite, but it was okay. In the second category of flow, I would give it a 2.0. It was fairly cohesive, nothing too jarring. On quality, I would say it was decent for its time, so a 1.5 there. And since it was a significant album as the first ever ECM album, it gets the additional half point. So in total, it gets a 5.5 star rating from Mr. Flowmeister. Not one of my top 15 albums of all time, or in this first 100, that we will be getting to, but we needed to at least spend a little time on it as it marks the beginning of the Ocean of Eicher, the beautiful era of ECM. So the second album ECM released was Alfred Harth's Just Music. It's an ironic title, as it is really just noise. It was the 1970s, so I guess you had to be there, just one of those things. And Manfred Eicher signed off on it, so I have to trust his judgment there. The third album is the Paul Bley Trio with Gary Peacock on bass. This album really predates ECM's origin and unique production quality. I would personally not qualify it as an ECM recording, though it is an ECM release. The majority of it was recorded in sessions from 1964, with Paul Motian on drums, who we do see often on ECM. And the last 3 songs on that album were with drummer Billy Elgert in 1968. After the Paul Bley album, many of the next few albums are of a very eccentric avant-garde style. And it was a landscape of the time. It's the topography of the 1970s. So ECM number 4 is Marion Brown. We do see Chick Corea emerge here, which is exciting, but unfortunately it's still 1970. And they're purposely doing anti-flow and anti-melody, purposeful dissonance. Not that it's wrong, we're just stuck in different decades and it's lost in translation. ECM Album 5, The Music Improvisation Company. ECM number 6, Wolfgang, Dauner. And the album Output actually has some interesting experimental sounds that are intricate at times, but bizarre at times, featuring some cool bass soloing by Eberhard Weber. And Fred Braceful is on drums. ECM Album 7, released in January 1971, is where we see a few regulars come to town, with the first recordings with ECM by Jon Garbarek, Arild Andersen on bass, Terry Ripdahl on guitar, and Jon Christensen on drums. All of these guys become ECM regulars. Still very experimental. I did hear a really good interview and moving interview with Richard Beirach that Eicher's goal with ECM was not to be a jazz label or the other Blue Note. And so they were really going for something unique, really pushing the boundaries and trying new things. And you have to give it to them. It led to some of the absolute coolest music of the 1970s. So I think you really had to do some albums like this to have the freedom to stumble onto albums like Crystal Silence, Return to Forever, Timeless. And there's really a psychological aspect to all of this. I'm sure it goes deep into the cultural foxholes of the politics and the struggles of the 1970s. So you have to take both sides of the coin. This is risk. This is pioneering. ECM Album 8. 9, 10, 11, 'and I want to get to ECM album 12. And here we have Bobo Stenson on piano and his album Underwear. With Arild Andersen on bass, Jon Christensen on drums. This is really a good album from ECM in my opinion. The best from these first 12, anyway, that we've covered from 1970 to 1971. I would suggest buying this for your listening active collection because you're going to want to hear it. It's very good. And if you can find this at a record store or expo near you, you should put it on your list. It'll be a good find. The first song, Underwear, starts out fast. Jon Christensen pounding away on that ride. Arild Andersen on bass panned left and Stenson jamming away on the keys. It's a really full-sounding, fun trio. It sounds fantastic in headphones. All the tones are crisp and bright. It's a solid song to begin the album. Track 2 mellows out with Luberon, a 9-minute song of beauty that really captures an emotion with all kinds of space. Both bass and drums offering full support to Stenson's heartfelt poetry. Track 3 is good, a little more experimental, and the trio finally locks in to an unusual head-spinning groove by about the 2-minute mark. It's very entertaining and a good addition to the vibe. Side B opens up with another 9-minute gem, probably my favorite from the session. And remember, they recorded this all in 2 days, live takes. Phenomenal. Jon Christensen absolutely shines on this. Track 5 is the problem child. It's the 1970s, and everybody's got to protest something. Track 6, the final cut, Rudolph. I love the intro here, and the mellow movements, the gentle bass thumps, and Christensen's sparse cymbals, quirky percussive sounds. Bobo Stenson leaves a great ending. On likability, a 2.5. I really like this. Maybe more because it was so refreshing after those preceding 11 albums, but it really is good. On flow, I can only give it a 2 because of that track on side B. Makes me get out of my chair, lift the needle, and have to relocate to the final track 6, so it messes up my vibe. On quality, it's really good for its time. Got to give it a 2.0. All the tones are right. So Mr. Flowmeister gives it a final 6.5, which makes it a very good album. I would definitely recommend. Does it make the top 15 of the first 100 ECM albums? We'll find out in the final episode in this series. I hope you enjoyed this and hope you found it helpful as you explore the Ocean of Eicher. I encourage you to leave the world of fake AI nonsense and return to the real. Until next time, this is Mr. Flowmeister. Never wear out your groove.